welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Eric, and this is the other CEDH, where the C stands for casual. We're your one-stop shop for all things casual, kitchen table, Magic the Gathering. Thank you for joining me here today. Now, one of the things I hope to accomplish with this channel was to provide a welcoming place for newer Commander players to come and hang out and get a better understanding of the game, how to learn the ins and outs of the game, and just generally how to become better players, because after all, being a better player means you're going to have a greater chance of winning the game, and you're going to have more fun playing the game when you know you've got a good shot to win. So this is going to be the first video in a series that we're calling Tips and Tricks for Beginning EDH Players, and closes some advice that will hopefully give the newer players a good jumping off point and will just kind of hopefully make them better at the game. I do want to give a quick disclaimer. This is just advice I'm giving based off of things that I've seen in my playgroup. These are not hard and fast rules. These are just simple suggestions that I would give to newer players that are entering our meta. Please do not take this advice as gospel, and don't worry, this is not going to be the only one of these videos that we do. This is just where we're starting at. So without further ado, let's get into our first top 5 tips and tricks for beginning EDH players. Number 5 is going to be find the right group of people to play with. If you're a newer EDH player, I would suggest either play with a group of people that are all learning to play at the same time, or more importantly, if you're going to play with people that have more experience, find people that have experience and that are patient enough to mentor you. In the play group that I play in very regularly, there are a couple of us that have been playing Magic for a very long time. We have a pretty good understanding of the rules and rules interactions and things like that. We also have a lot of players. As a matter of fact, there's more newer players in our group than experienced players. But whenever newer players sit down with us, we're always very good about taking the time to explain to them, you know, this is how the rules interaction works with this. This is how this is how the board state is going to get affected if you play this. And just generally things of that nature. Or if somebody goes to play a card and they'll ask us, okay, so if I wanted to play this, how does it interact with what this person's doing over here? And we're always very good about taking things back that, okay, well, look, this isn't going to work quite how you thought it's going to. So, you know, just keep that in mind before you do this. You can always take this back if you want to. I do want to point out that if you are playing in a group that has a lot of newer players, and if you know, being patient with them is very good. It's going to encourage them to play the game better, and it's going to encourage them to learn. If you are an experienced player and you're mentoring newer players, this is going to make your games take quite a bit longer. So you guys probably aren't going to get as many games in an evening as you might like. But please, if you are an experienced player and you are playing with newer players, please take the time to sit down with them and explain the rules interactions, explain how their decks work. And this is especially good in metas where you see the same decks all the time, because a lot of the guys that we play with, they're new to the game, so they don't necessarily want to drop a lot of money on having 6, 7, 8 decks. They've got maybe 1 or 2 that they regularly play with. So they start to learn what cards they see on a regular basis, what cards do what, how different cards affect the board state. Everybody's gotten pretty good about learning, you know, oh my god, this Missing a Dream's out, we got to get rid of that thing now. Again, shout out to my buddy Dan, he knows what I'm talking about. So for all you beginner players, again, either find somebody that is going to learn the game along with you, or find an experienced player that is going to kind of mentor you along the way. Moving on to tips and tricks number 4, learn the stack and rules interactions. Make sure there's someone in your group that has a very strong understanding of rules interactions and has knowledge of the stack and is willing to walk you through how certain plays are going to affect the game. I talk a lot about my buddy Dan. He is the one person in our play group that really has a good grasp on the ins and outs of the rules. Magic is an incredibly complicated game. It has been proclaimed as the most complex game in the world. It is so complicated that not even a computer can break it. I've seen articles, they've tried. So, understanding things like split second, understanding instant speed versus sorcery speed, understanding who has priority, when priority is passed, when somebody maintains priority, what you can do after you pass priority, that sort of thing. It really helps if you take the time to sit down and study, and you don't even really have to get real in-depth on learning this sort of thing. Like, there's not any kind of manual that you have to sit down and adhere to and memorize. Just, again, play with people that have an understanding of the stack and rules interactions. when you can do certain things, when you can't do certain things, and it's just going to give you a better understanding of how the flow of the game goes and what you can do and when you can do it. Moving on to tips and tricks number 3. Build decks that fit your playstyle and get all the deck building advice that you can. I don't encourage newer people to play combo, especially if they don't know how to make a combo deck work or can't figure out how to win with it. Combo decks are very finicky. It's a style that not everybody likes to play. I play combo sometimes. I know there are people out there that like to play combo. If you would like to learn how to play combo, really get into the ins and outs of learning how to play combo before you attempt to build a deck and sit down with it and say, okay, well, this is a turn that I'm going to assemble my Rube Goldberg machine and try to end this thing. Again, the meta that I play in is very creature dependent. It's the way that we encourage newer people to kind of learn the game, because it's the part of the game that I think is the easiest for a lot of people to wrap their brain around. It's okay, I'm going to put these numbers down. These numbers mean damage. Damage means points are going to come off your life total. When you get to 0, you die, and that's how we win the game. There are people that have sat down against my Arcanist the Omnipotent deck that just absolutely hate playing against it because it doesn't win through combat damage. It's really convoluted as to how that deck does win. It doesn't win through combat damage. That's all I will say. So, another thing that I would encourage newer players to do is learn how each of the colors works. You know, if you really like drawing a lot of cards and doing a lot of things that are wacky and cheeky and goofy, don't play mono red if you like drawing a lot of cards. Also, don't play mono blue if you like just throwing a bunch of damage at your opponent's face. Really learn what each of the colors is good at and build a commander that complements how you like to play the game. I've always said that the only wrong way to play this game is a way in which you are not having any fun. If you're not having fun, then you're not going to stick with the game. It's not going to be worth it. Really, just the game is tailored the game is designed so that everybody can find a deck that they like and a play style that they like, and they can stick with it. Our buddy Kale has a dinosaur deck. It's the only commander deck he has, because that's what Kale knows and that's what Kale is good at. He likes to draw big numbers on the board and turn everything sideways and just beat everybody's faces in, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with playing that way. That's just how Kale plays the game. That's not necessarily how I always play the game. I do play it sometimes. You guys watch the Marwyn deck tech. You know, you play 8,000 elves and get them all to 10 power, and then you just crush everyone, which is a lot of fun. There's also a guy in our group that runs a mill deck, because that's just how he likes to play the game. It is absolutely miserable to play against, but he plays a mill deck because that's what he likes to do. Again, just find a deck that you like playing, find a way that you like playing, and just stick with it. I have a feeling that you're going to get a lot more out of the game if you just find a play style and stick with it that you enjoy. Tips and tricks number 2. Expect to lose, but have fun, learn from your losses, and most importantly, and I cannot stress this enough, please improve your threat assessment. The lines of play in a 4-player game can often be really hard to keep track of, but as you learn your meta and learn the decks that you're playing against, you'll start to learn which threats you need to look for from each deck. You'll learn which plays are going to mean the difference between winning and losing, and you'll quickly learn how to best utilize your removal and disruption while making sure that you can get your own win conditions online and how to protect your pieces so that you can win the game. It's often been said that Magic is like chess combined with poker, and I don't think there's a more apt description of the game than that. Chess is all about protecting your key pieces and getting into a position where you can win the game. Magic is very much like that. There's just several thousand more pieces that you have to choose from than you do with chess, so just keep that in mind. And finally, we're going to get into our number 1 beginner's tips and tricks. I hope you guys are ready for this. This is going to be earth-shattering. This is going to make all the difference. Are you ready for it? Here it is. Just play the game. Just play the game. Play the game as often as you can and as much as you can. It's like anything else. Getting good at the game will only come with practice and experience, and as long as you're having fun with your decks, having fun with your play group, you'll get better at the game without even realizing it. Just take your time, have fun. More importantly, enjoy the experience that is Magic the Gathering and the Commander format. I remember the very first Commander gameplay video that I saw, 4 people sitting around the table, interacting with each other, politicking, table talking, trying to make deals, alliances were made. I sat down and watched that game and thought to myself, this looks like the most fun thing ever. And you know what? To me, it is the most fun thing ever. There is nothing better than sitting down with your friends, even if you win or lose, even if betrayals are thrown around and alliances are broken. It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun. So if you have fun, then you're doing something correctly. So again, that is going to be my top 5 tips and tricks for beginning EDH players. Again, this is just the first installment of this. I'm sure we're going to have much more that we're going to include. If you guys really want to help me out, head over to our Facebook page or comment down below and let me know if there's something that I didn't cover that you guys want to see covered. I'm still in the middle of trying to get a Twitter page up, so eventually you guys can get on Twitter and you can reach me there. But again, if there's something that I didn't cover in this episode that you want to see covered in a future episode, please shoot me an email, drop by our Facebook page, get on the YouTube page, let me know, and I will be more than happy to include it in a future installment of this episode. Again, we're going to be doing quite a few of these because this is a resource that I have looked for on YouTube and couldn't really find anything about. There's a lot of beginner's deck building advice on YouTube, but as far as just tips and tricks for how to play the game, I think this is a resource that is kind of lacking out in the community. So this is something that I'm hoping to be able to provide to newer EDH players, and hopefully this is something that you guys are going to get a lot of mileage and a lot of usage out of. So again, this is going to be the first installment of our tips and tricks for beginning EDH players. This is the Other C EDH. My name is Eric, and thank you very much for joining me.